Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Orange and Blue. I'm Ryan Evan, joined as always by the toughest military man you'll ever meet, Kevin Ducey. Oh, yeah, you, Kevin.
Nah, not me. Not me.
Hey, Urbana's finest. What's up?
I'll take Urbana's finest. Toughest military man you ever met. Shoot, you met Luke Ford's dad.
Actually, technically, I haven't met Luke Ford's dad. I've talked to him several times.
Well, there you go.
So, but I have met you. But, I was just like trying to give you props. Urbana's finest. I'll just call you that from now on.
Appreciate it. That's fine.
All right. So, a lot going on in the Illini land. And good and bad, indifferent. But so we'll start out with
we're just here to talk about the first day of spring football practice, right?
Yeah, we're just here to talk about day one. Let me tell you how good Luke Altmaier looked. Actually, we're going to be talking a lot about that in the future, but
next week.
Yeah, next week we got a while to talk about Illini football. But we try to bring what the people want, and the people want to probably talk about the most important thing going on in Illini, Twitter, social media, landscape of hoops program, which is Illinois obviously losing to Arkansas in the first round last Thursday. And then now, there's a bunch of smoke. There's a bunch of news and buzz going around that, Brad Underwood is drawing attention from other programs. Texas Tech, I heard, Tossley talk to him, and Texas is a name that's been, lingering for a couple of weeks, and we've kind of kept it here. But now it seems to be that could be more of a possibility, and we'll get into all of that towards the middle and the end. That's a little bait and a little tease for you. But we're going to start out with Illinois losing to Arkansas. Kevin, what is your takeaway from that tough first round loss to a good Arkansas team who beat Kansas and now on the Sweet 16?
Well, I think we would – the naysayers on this team were proven right. You just couldn't trust this team when it came down to it. This was a team that needed to get production from its top two guys and then get some additional production from the support guys, the role players, whatever the heck you want to call them. And frankly, it didn't happen. Terrence Shannon had a good game. He started off a little bit slow and then came on, played well. Matt Meyer had 2 points. He was 2 of 3 from the free throw line. He lost his shoe for the better part of what seemed like 2 minutes, and we didn't call a timeout. We didn't get a timeout called for us. By the way, Michigan State did in their win over Marquette. Weird situation there. Just go foul somebody if you're Matt Meyer. I mean, good Lord, you haven't fouled out of a game in your freaking career, I don't think. I'm a fan of the kid, but, man, I was not a fan of the performance. You needed him. You needed him to step up and do some things, and he frankly, he didn't. And we got production from other guys. RJ had a great second half. I was really glad to see that. Luke Goody knocked down a couple shots. I thought Sincere Harris played really hard. Ty Rodgers did what Ty Rodgers does.
I have too many fans, man. I'll sign your autograph later, dude. I'm doing a show. You can watch me on YouTube, all right? It's keeping it orange and blue. Just remember that. All right. Anyway, so I will say
Arkansas is too good of a team that we couldn't afford that. There's some execution stuff about the game I didn't like. I thought we were going over screens against a bad three-point shooting team, and we should be going under. Here's the difference in the ballgame. Arkansas has 4 guys that they lean on to put the ball in the bucket. Black, Smith, Debo Davis, Ricky Council. Illinois, we had 2. Coleman's not been a scorer all year. Jay Epps has had his moments. Danes has had his moments, but none of those guys are consistent. We had 2 consistent scorers that we counted on. Nick Smith didn't score for shit. RJ shut off his water in the second half, by the way.
Nick Smith was bad, and really Black wasn't great.
Right, Black hit some shots.
Yeah.
But then they had Davis and Council. So That was the difference in this team is we had two consistent scorers that you can go on about every night that you can count for double digits and points. And if we would have got that, we would have been in the game. And we didn't. And that's the thing is that we could not afford that. Arkansas could. They're moving on. We're not. The thing that reared its head over and over again with this team is we need a facilitating point guard. I would love to see that. And we need shooters. I do believe that Luke Goody is a good shooter. I do believe.
Oh, I mean,
RJ Melendez is a 35 to 40% three-point shooter in college. That's what I believe that. He shot 40% over his last 9 games. He shot 60% from three last year, granted limited sample size. We need to get an Andrew Funk-like player, which he exceeded all our expectations in the portal, and we need a facilitating point guard somewhere along the line, and I think this team will be fine. And
I can tell you that it's interesting from the Arkansas perspective. Really, Council and Davis were better against Kansas than they were against us.
Yep.
Illinois had its shot to beat Arkansas. If you think about it,
yep.
They played stall ball the last 5 minutes, and Illinois kept chipping away, had its chance at 5. Remember, Coleman Hawkins gets a big steal, right, and just drives that ball from free throw line to free throw line and not looking who's behind him. And they take the ball from him. I can say that Coleman would tell you it wasn't his best game. Definitely you can't have 6 turnovers from one of your best players in a game like that. It was just sloppy. When Illinois needed it most, the inefficiency from shooting from deep, plus the turnovers, plus free throws. You know what I mean? Like, Harris goes up and bricks both of them. Shannon missed, I think, 2 of 4. You can't do that when there's a crack there and a team's leaving that door open for you. You got to kick it down. You can't just slowly just kind of creak it open more. Time runs out, and that's what happened on Illinois. Matthew Meyer played his worst game of the year at the worst time of the year. Couldn't buy a 3. It was to the point where they just quit guarding him, Kevin. And like he just had 3 wide open shots, I think, in that second half, and every one of them rolled around and rimmed out. It was like halfway down and came out. Yeah. And if that wasn't the epitome of Illinois' basketball season, then I don't know what was. As disappointing though as it was, I can tell you this: I was a lot more disappointed and hurt last year after the Houston loss than I was this year.
The hard part about that one is, and this is why, like, I've heard some people say, like, this is the most frustrating Illinois team of their life.
No.
They hate this team. And how about the dude? Like, I don't care. Dude, last year when we lost to Houston, you knew that was Trent Frazier's last game.
Yep.
For all your feelings on DeMonte Williams, that dude left it on the court. Like, it was his last game. The dude was with us for 5 years. He's a legacy player, right? Those guys were with us when we were terrible. 2 awful seasons, and then they got to see 3 seasons of fruition. So, yeah, last year's loss hurt more.
And we also kind of knew it was Kofi's last game,
yes,
too.
And there was that possibility, absolutely. So I think that, yeah, dude, I like Terrence Shannon a lot. I think Matt Meyer, even though he played a bad game, he's a goofy dude. He was fun. He willed us to some wins. I'm thankful he came here. I don't know if we make a tournament without him. Probably not. Coleman Hawkins has been the most enigmatic guy, like, with the fan base. You know me. I've always been a Coleman supporter because I like the little things that he does. And I think he's growing into his role. Those are the 3 guys you look at and you say, well, was this their last game in orange and blue? And you're sad if they go, but it's just different when you lose a guy like Trent, Kofi, DeMonte. And so, yeah, this loss didn't hurt as much. I think a lot of people were ready for the season to be over. This team was so inconsistent. And
it was to the point of I was sad because I wanted to root him on more. And man, trust me, when Illinois football or basketball's on, I just always get like a buzz in me. You know what I'm saying? Like I just get – it's like maybe it's adrenaline plus it's just something about it. It's where it's –
dude,
it's
why we love sports. Sports are –
it's a euphoria, that you don't really get.
It's an entertainment, dude. When I've got an Illinois basketball game that I'm watching for 2 hours, like the world stops. Like I forget about my problems at work. I forget about my bills. I forget about the issues going on in my life. And I just spend 2 hours concentrating on that. And for football, it's 3 to 4. And that's where you love it. And I was hoping to get another day of it and maybe another day of it. And I was really, and then the excitement would build, but it didn't happen, and it's over, and we're moving on. And, it probably is. I mean, it is Matt Meyer's last game. I don't know about, we talked about TJ last week, whether or not he'll be back.
And I want to, and let's reiterate that since, plenty of people are watching. I told you guys, and I'm going to say this again, and I'm posting a tweet if I need to, but Terrence Shannon's mother at the Big Ten tournament, matter-of-factly told good close friend of mine, John Wright, and the fans that were around there getting autographs and talking, Terrence will be back next year. And I'm not sure if it's because his draft stock has plummeted some. It has not rose, I can tell you that. But also, the NIL money speaks highly. And what he would make, even if he was a mid to late second round draft pick, is it's basically so minuscule compared to what he's going to get next year at Illinois. It's like Kofi Coburn turned down so much money to go play in the B League in Japan, which is mind-boggling. And I know he regrets it. Financially, he regrets it. But Terrence Shannon's not going to make that same mistake.
Yeah, I think Kofi was sick of school. I don't get that same impression from TJ. I think he would really, get in the master's program and do something like that to further his education and his long-term status. But let's be real here. I think there's a misnomer. Like guys with Terrence's athleticism. Terrence is a hell of an athlete. But there's a dime a dozen in the National Basketball Association. He is not head and shoulders above. So the things that he needs to do, he can continue to work on. He worked on so much on his shot in the offseason. And we saw it early on. His shot was better.
Yeah.
He did not shoot well from 3 late. I did hear his draft stock may have gone a little bit up after the tournament game. Coleman's may have come down. We are going to have some transfers. I don't know who that is. I don't want to necessarily speculate on it, but I worry about the freshman guards, to be frank with you. I don't. Jaden Epps is
but I want you to be clear, though. His stock may have went up some, but his stock was a mid to late second round pick anyway.
Right.
So it's not like he put himself in a first round position.
I agree. Yeah. And
we'll get to we're going to get to the portal towards the end of the show and who else I feel is going to come back, and we'll talk about Coleman and some people, possibly the staff's looking at. But now after this, okay, another first or second round exit for Brad Underwood. And this is where all of and all the people who are watching this, we really appreciate you. All my followers on Twitter. I've gotten to know so many cool people over the last 7 years. Thousands of people. And there's a good chunk that do not like Brad Underwood, and they just don't. And you know what? I was thinking about it today because, before we do a show, I like to think about what I want to talk about. And I was thinking about it today. There's about almost as many people that didn't like John Gross that don't like Brad Underwood. And it's really mind-boggling to me because, you think about it, the perspective there. John Gross didn't make the tournament his final 4 seasons at Illinois. Okay? Illinois, Brad Underwood has won the most Big Ten games in the entire conference his last 4 years. 2 Big Ten titles, 4 NCAA tournaments. Let's just be honest, because the COVID year, while it didn't happen, Illinois was in
6 or 7 seed.
There were a 6 or a 7 seed in every mock.
Yeah.
The bracket matrix, I think, for sure had them a 7. So things were trending up. Remember, that was a program that hadn't been in a tournament in 7 years.
Yeah.
So to me, the disdain for Brad Underwood is just so mind-boggling to me. And I get, we would all love to be in the Sweet 16. You know what I'm saying? I would
He lost 1 game that he should have won. 1. And that changes the entire freaking narrative on any of it. And yes, we would have got Oregon State in the next round. So we're looking at most likely an Elite 8 matchup with Houston. which I don't know how well we would have done, it would have bought him so much grace. But Loyola hadn't blitzed ball screens all year long. Iowa was not right from the Ohio State game. Trent couldn't make a shot. Like
Trent, by the way, Trent was sick and still had pink eye.
No, that was not. That was against Houston.
Okay. Hold on a second. Yeah. But
Brad Underwood is one.
Trent just had a bad game though. Those happen.
Right. Brad Underwood has won 2 games as an underdog in the NCAA tournament. He's lost 1 as a favorite. All right. So he can't coach. Like, shut the. Hey, listen, why are we talking about this? Because there's rumors and innuendo that Brad Underwood might be getting pursued by Texas. You know how many times we would have had this conversation about people pursuing John Gross at Illinois? You wouldn't. You know how many times people were talking about people wanted Bruce Weber in his last 7 seasons at Illinois, that another coach team wanted him? It didn't happen. There's programs out there that want this dude because they know that he can coach. This was a rebuild year. Lost 85% of the roster, right? 85% of the production gone. We won 20 games, and we're in the fight for a Big Ten title until the end, and made the NCAA tournament. And people are like, well, what's the bar? I don't think the bar's there. Those are the same people like, why do you think we're Duke? Like, so what is the bar? The bar is making the NCAA tournament. The bar is winning 20 games. That is the bar. And he met the bar in a rebuilding year. And if you don't think that dude is going to go work the portal, we got 2 of the top transfers around last year. Yes, you want to blame Brad Underwood for something, blame him for Sky Clark, which people were salivating to get this former 5-star guy with extreme athleticism. You saw moments of Sky Clark where you're like, holy crap, and that dude's still coming off an injury. This team missed a facilitator as a point guard, and they're missing some shooting. Well, who could shoot that maybe would have played for him this year? Oh, wait, is it the redheaded kid with the broken foot for half the season? Oh, wait, is it the Puerto Rican kid who hurt his shoulder against Penn State and lost his stroke? I mean, shit happens, man. Like, this stuff is nuts what our fan base is doing, and it's part of the reason why he's listening, right? You and I are in the know. We've talked to some people. We get this, right? Brad is getting pressure from some big boosters who are frustrated with him and his lack of tournament success. Get that. But understand something. If you're Brad Underwood, you're one of the top 100 people in the world at what you do for a living. You're in the top 1% of the 1% in what you make for a living. And you got people who couldn't draw up a horn set to save their life telling you you're not good at your job.
They couldn't draw a stick figure.
Get the fuck out of here. He probably makes more money than they do. And so yeah, he's probably a little bit pissed off. It's like, fuck you. Texas is calling me. I might listen. Oh, and Johnny Twitter Fingers bitching about Illinois program. Do you not remember being on the bubble every freaking year? We had been on the bubble one time.
And that's the crazy thing too about this year is like Illinois wasn't even close to the bubble. So
close. Like, our fan base is stupid.
And let me tell you this. I love our fan base for the majority, but that group that I think there's an entitlement to which is very odd though. You know, it's an entitled bunch though. They'll come out angry, pitchforks, fire and stuff, you know, burn it to the ground. And I don't get where the entitled is. It's like a top 20 winningest program. Okay. But top 20 winning, when's the last time they won a national title? You know what I'm saying? So
you want to talk about and how old, and that's the other part is like, all right, listen, if you're 45 years old, if you're my age and you're in that group, I give you some grace. Okay. The problem I have with it is it's 25-year-olds. It's 30-year-olds. No offense, Ryan. It's guys who never saw Ken Norman make a basket. It's guys who never saw Doug Altenberger play or Ephraim Winters.
What about this? But what about these 18 to 22-year-olds doing it?
They didn't even see D play. So like, dude, I saw the height of Illinois basketball, dude. I went to 22 games in 1989, 88, 89. I was in Bloomington when Nick Anderson made the shot. I was in Minneapolis when we beat Syracuse and went to the Final Four. Like, I saw that. Robert writes about it on Line Board all the time. We spent a decade as a 4-seed or better, dude. And then we saw it again from 1997 to 2006. Like, I've seen decades where we were a dominant freaking program and we were in everybody's mouth. So if you're 22 years old, John Gross is your coach. Like, I don't get this garbage, man. I don't get it. It's nonsense to me.
And no offense taken, I'm 35, but I was old enough to witness a Big Ten title team in '98. But then the Kruger Self years was my hay. Like,
fantastic.
I saw fantastic ball. Like, I thought that could be a bar for Illinois, you know. back-to-back Big Ten titles,
We won
Sweet
four
16s.
Big Ten championships in 5 years.
Yeah, so remember this: 01 Elite 8, 02 Sweet 16. Then Brian Cook's senior year, they lost in the second round at Notre Dame. 04, they lost to Duke in the Sweet 16. 2005, they make the title game. That was from the time I was 12 to 18, that's what I saw.
And then 2006, Brandon Roy just got another foul called on his behalf.
Yeah. So, like, I know what good basketball is. I've seen it. But here I am saying that it's okay to have a year where you didn't win the Big Ten, you made the tournament, you won 20 games, and for people to say this better be the floor, it better be a blip on the radar because we're trending down. I mean, all we have to do, all you have to do, okay, is look around at some of these blue blood programs. Okay,
Michigan,
North Carolina didn't make the tournament this year.
Oh.
Michigan, not blue blood or not, I'm just speaking. Michigan was an 11 seed last year, snuck into the Sweet 16. Good for them, but didn't make the tournament this year. Wisconsin didn't make the tournament this year. Syracuse awful this year. I mean, I can continue on. John Calipari has won one tournament game in the last 5 fucking years. Okay. So, one.
Yep.
Okay, at Duke, I mean, at Kentucky, for God's sake. Kentucky, he's even got Antigua back to help try to save his gig. One win with Antigua back.
Duke with the number 1 recruiting class in the nation won one tournament game. Like, I mean, it's tough, dude. It's hard. It's not easy. But here's the thing. Like, I do believe in Josh Whitman. And if Brad Underwood ultimately goes, and Brad is getting interest, right? There's some rumors that are going on out there. Texas has reached out. He has listened. I don't know how viable that is.
And let me tell you. And so we got 140 people watching live on Twitter right now, Kev. So anything else you want to say? And I'm glad you're speaking your truth because it is true. But this is
I didn't swear too much on this. But.
No, this is what I do want to say is that so it is a factual thing. I was told Texas talked to Brad recently in the last few days. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's listened. But is it just because of the fan base? But I want you to make that clear too. I want all the fans who watch this to understand. It's not pointing at you just to say you right now, the group of people who no matter what the team does, no matter what Brad has done, there's always a problem. That eventually rubs you the wrong way after 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, and he can't come out and say that, nor will he, because then he's going to be public enemy number 1. And you don't want to do that to your program. You don't want to alienate them. So that's what I'm saying and what you're saying right now. I want people to know that. Why would Brad even listen to it? Well, because you've got people who you've given your all to, you've helped turn the program around, and you basically get shit on. So, secondly, you mentioned it to a degree. Donors, boosters, however you want to talk about it. People behind the scenes who help donate money to the NIL situation, to expect certain players to come and for results to happen in March. They want to get their hands on more of a pick and choose of like who we're going to get. They want more hands-on and they want more results now. So Brad does not like that.
Would you?
Yeah, so it's like that's like me coming to your job and telling you how you need to help loan officers out. You know what I mean? Like, let me just tell you, Kev, I don't think this is how you should do it. So
and listen, man, if people want to be well, if he's going to be like that, dude, these guys all have egos, man. All of them have egos. The players have egos. The coaches have egos. You make millions of dollars a year. You're top 100 in the world at your profession, and I'll stand by that with Brad. He's top 20 in college basketball. So that's my thing. If people want him gone. Listen, I begged for this after Bill Self got taken away. I remember Ron Gunther specifically said something about like we want somebody who's going to be here for life, and I love that thought process. But that thought process is flawed. I always want my coach to be wanted by the Atlanta Hawks or the Kansas Jayhawks, because that means your coach is doing something well. And if we have to replace Brad Underwood, I would want someone that Kansas would want when Bill Self retires, that Michigan State would want when Tom Izzo retires, that Syracuse would want when their next coach fails miserably, which he's going to do. It's nonsense, a horrible hire, but that's a different story. Here's some other things that are coming into play here. Speaking of Kansas, subtle rumors going around that maybe Bill will pull an Urban Meyer and say, you know what, is my health worth it? Made a ton of money. I won multiple championships. I won the Naismith Hall of Fame.
Kansas, huh?
That Kansas make him open. Well, what does that do to the whole landscape of everything? Does that mean Scott Drew potentially goes to Kansas? Does that mean if Scott Drew goes to Kansas, Jerome Tang leaves Kansas State and goes to Baylor? If Kansas State becomes open, by the way, Texas Tech is really looking at the University of North Texas coach who battled Oklahoma State in overtime tonight. I don't know who won. Then Kansas State becomes open. Kansas State flirted with Underwood last year. People are like, why would he go there? Well, he went to school there. It's alma mater. He coached there. He's got a little bit less booster pressure there. Texas, you're going to get more. Kansas State, for all people want to crap on it or whatever, is a top 30 program in the history of college basketball. Illinois, in my opinion, is top 20. I can go pull some stats if you want that show, and lots of publications show Illinois in the top 20 and Kansas State just missing the top 25. I don't think he would do it, dude. There's a big buyout. I think those programs would probably look elsewhere. I think Brad will be back. But all I'm telling people is have some perspective here about why a guy would listen. We know you could go on Twitter right now and be the same person that will bitch about Brad Underwood, will complain about our fan base and how delusional we suck. Our fan base is bad. Like it can be bad. We are a very passionate fan base. We want to return to that decade of 97 to 2005 or 83 to 1991. Like we want to get back to that, and I get that. I want that too.
But the same fans need to understand the landscape of how college basketball works is not that anymore.
No, you have ups and downs. Who has the longest streak of making the NCAA tournament from a coaching perspective right now? It's Tom Izzo. It's Michigan State. Well, yes, they're a top 10 basketball program in the last 30 years of college basketball, 100%. Are they blue blood? Are they Kansas? Are they Duke? Are they Kentucky? Are they North Carolina? No, those teams all had blips in the radar.
And for the fans that think we're just, because there's a good group. I'm in a group chat and I just peeked it out because I love the GCs, the Twitter GCs think that, we're just, making excuses for Brad and, oh, how dare us, we're clowns, blah, blah. The funny thing is that not me nor me or you has said that Brad Underwood is like a GOAT. He's the best coach in college basketball. He's a Hall of Famer. What I'm saying is he's a whole hell of a lot better than we've had in a long damn time.
Like I said, I would trust Josh Whitman to make a hire. I would trust that the money that we have to go find somebody. But the challenge is when do you want to make that move? In what environment do you want to make that move? And furthermore, do you want to make that move now? Making that move now at Illinois, what does that mean, right? We've already got some players that are possibly thinking of entering the portal. We got some players who are thinking of considering the NBA. So let's say Terrence Shannon and Coleman Hawkins say, screw that, Brad left. I'm either going to transfer or I'm going to go to the NBA. Okay, so now you lose your top three players, Hawkins, Meyer, and Shannon. Gone. Boom.
Yep.
Epps says, you know what? Screw this, man. I'm going to go back to the East Coast. I'm going to go play for somebody over there. I'm out.
Epps says, you know what? I'm going to go to a program where I can run wherever the hell I want, when I want.
Right.
That's what I'm going to do.
Sincere Harris leaves. Now what? Amani Hansberry and DGL say, listen, we want to look somewhere else, man. Dude, Amani Hansberry really highly coveted, and DGL stocks went up from Overtime Elite. Like you would be like next year. I don't care who the coach is, unless they pull a Dennis Gates, which was amazing. But I wouldn't hire Dennis Gates this year like that. I mean, the guy was at Wright State. I was like, dude, what is he doing? And I think he put a 1-year Band-Aid on Missouri. I don't think they're going to be good next year. I think he is a good coach. I think it's going to, but they're going to complete rebuild.
He brought 3 of his best players from Cleveland State.
Cleveland State, not Wright State, my fault.
Yes, yeah, Cleveland State. So, and then 2 other really good experienced guards from the portal. So
what would next year would be tough?
Yeah.
Furthermore, do you want to hire in an environment where, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if Bill Self does hang it up, you want to hire when there's not a lot of traffic, right? You want to hire when not a lot of big names are going out, right?
And sometimes it's like the grass ain't always greener too. Like I think people would just think, oh, it's Sean Miller or whoever, all these other people, these names going on.
I love that dude. He's never been to a Final Four though.
Yeah.
Tourney success, never been to a Final Four. Coaching at Arizona for a decade.
Yeah, I know. Shame on that man. How dare he? You know what I'm saying?
He's a great coach, so don't get me wrong. But he's got a little stink on him, especially in his armpits.
Yeah. DeAndre Ayton's a big fan. But with that said, I think it's easy to beat a guy down and then just think, oh, well, we'll get bigger and better, right? And then you end up with a gross part 2 or something like that, to where, look at Texas Tech right now, you know? It's like they got rid of Adams for a good reason, but they had big fish and none of them want to go. So now they're settling for a good North Texas coach. Nothing wrong with him, but that's not sexy. I don't think that's going to bring in big-time recruits. I don't think that's going to make Texas Tech better next year. So to me, it's about this. It's Illinois has a good class coming in, and I think maybe taking a step back and just saying that because we're a 9 seed, that the program is stumbling or it's in a free fall, blah blah blah. Just not the case. I think to me it's a trend when it's happening 2, 3, 4 seasons. I think if we're having the same discussion at the end of next year, we'll have to delve more into it, and I'll probably take it a little more serious if we're having the same problems. But for 1 year, especially with the things that transpired, Brad is not perfect. Brad made mistakes. We already mentioned it. The whole Sky Clark situation didn't work out for him. But that's not all just Brad. You know, the players and their families need to take some accountability too, which they never will.
Listen. So you all right? Listen, I know fans say things like he doesn't make adjustments, and I will agree with some fans that in-game adjustments Brad makes sometimes are a little slow, right? Like we'd like to see it happen a little bit sooner, a little bit faster. I think Shrewsbury does a really nice job of making adjustments pretty quickly in game. But if you tell me that Brad Underwood doesn't make adjustments, it's like you're full of shit. Like we ran a completely different style of defense and offense from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. We changed, right? We saw it. We couldn't do it anymore. We ran a completely different defense our first 2 years here. And once we got Kofi here, we ran a completely different offense as well. Brad was all about getting the ball up, getting up 6 seconds, run and gun. We stopped that with Kofi, right? Like he's made adjustments consistently. And what I'm getting the point at is I think that Brad looks at what he did in the portal last year with taking Sky Clark, who's a phenomenal talent, but just maybe not be all there. And I think he's going to look at this and say, okay, I need to find a facilitator. We might have already done that for the long term with Nico Moretti, but we need to find a facilitator possibly who can play, and probably need a sharpshooter.
Definitely need a veteran. You're going to have a veteran guard next year for sure.
Yep, and a big, and maybe a big who can stretch.
A big who can shoot. Yep.
And you and I know there's a guy out there that hadn't put his name in the portal. We're hoping.
Yeah, there's a couple. But right. Yeah.
So I have faith that Brad Underwood will look at his mistakes, adjust, and not make the same ones, and move forward. And I think this team has enough talent to be a competitive team next year, to make the NCAA tournament again, regardless of who leaves. And I truly believe that. And I think that, you know, the more guys that leave, the more opportunities there are for guys in the portal to come and play. And we're seeing it all over the place. You're seeing it at Creighton with a guy like Baylor Shireman, who's at San Diego State. You saw it at Penn State with a guy like Andrew Funk. You see it consistently. You see it with Penn State with the guy from Siena and Jalen Pickett. You constantly see guys who have transferred from lower level schools coming into big schools and making impacts that are dramatic. And I think that can happen. We're very young, very inexperienced team. It showed its head. We will not be as young or inexperienced next year. So I just would beg fans to let it play out. There's some things going on behind the scenes. And like I've said over and over again, if Brad Underwood goes, I have faith in Joshua.
Yeah. There's some names out there too, surprising ones.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Is Illinois more desirable today than it was when Brad Underwood took over the program?
No, wait a second. Yes, Illinois is way more desirable.
Right. Was Illinois more desirable job when John Gross took the job or when he left it? When he took it.
Yeah.
Bruce Weber, when he took it, that thing was, dude, we could have hired damn near anybody at that point in time. I don't know why we didn't.
Yeah, and what I can say is this: Brad Underwood has totally made the program a better place. And and so while I wouldn't want him to go, I can tell you this from my source earlier today. I said, "Is this like for real? Like, or is it just talking?" He said, "It's possible, Ryan. He could end up leaving still." So, with that said, I asked about Sean Miller. I said, "Is that people blowing smoke? It's all over Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Was Whitman really in Greensboro looking to Sean Miller?" His response, when he asked someone, no comment. So, was he in Greensboro? And another thing I was told is that there are a couple coaches who for sure would listen to Illinois because it's a basketball school. Like, it's the fan base is loyal. They show up. More of loyal, meaning they come to the games. They fill it up.
Second in conference in attendance this year.
They're passionate.
Yeah.
They care about it, and there's money to be made. If you look at Brad Underwood, I mean, what is it? Top 15 contract. He's at $4.6 million. Yeah. I think he's top 10 contract, actually.
Yeah, a $11 million buyout or something.
Yeah, so that there's going to be coaches that want to come to Illinois no matter what. So, but to me, it's like losing your coach after a first round exit, because he just doesn't want to be here anymore because he's sick of people's shit. Like, that to me is just messed up. But so
it's also. Listen, he's almost 60 years old, right? It's part of the sign of the times, man. NIL's tough, dude. There's a reason Jay Wright isn't coaching basketball anymore. It's not because the guy doesn't still love to coach basketball. It's the ancillary bullshit he's sick of dealing with. There's a reason why Roy Williams hung him up when he did, and it wasn't because he was ready to be done. It's because the ancillary bullshit he didn't want to deal with. And so maybe it's time for the younger guys to take the reins and do that. It's also you see a guy like Tom Izzo hasn't really played that game too much, man.
Man, he's a big advocate against it. He rips it every time he can talk.
And you see they're still playing. They could make a Final Four run, which would be unbelievable. They're not going to win a title. No freaking way that team wins. Really quickly, I was actually impressed with how the Big Ten played, even in their losses. People are ripping on blah, blah, blah. Only one team in the Sweet 16. You only had one team projected to make – two, I guess, Indiana.
Purdue was the only team that you watched them play that you were just terrible. Just, even Illinois and Iowa were in the game at the end of the game. Iowa lost by 8 to Auburn. Illinois was down by 5 with 3 minutes left. Had a chance to win.
I think I was rooting for Iowa, by the way.
Yeah. That's a no-win, Iowa against Bruce Pearl. And then think about this, Kelvin Sampson against Bruce Pearl. That was even worse.
No, it's easy to go Houston.
So 5-3 in the first round, and then in the second round, Penn State could have easily clipped Texas.
That was a great game. It was a ton of fun.
What a hell – and Northwestern gave UCLA a run as well.
Everything they wanted. It was really impressive.
So if you want to say, the Big Ten stinks, it's not a good conference, I mean – I guess losing some really close games against top 10 teams can deter you some. Purdue was the only team that really laid an egg, in my opinion. And you saw Maryland put up a fight against Alabama, but Bama was always going to win that game. The game to me, besides Michigan State coming back and beating Marquette, I thought that Penn State obviously had a great chance. But
Indiana, Miami was very similar to Illinois, Arkansas. Miami had 4 guys that they said, hey, go get us a bucket. We can get a bucket here. Indiana had 2. And what happened? Miami won.
Yep. And Trace just looked like he was out of gas. He was missing some easy ones there at the end.
Miami was really fast and really athletic. ranking. I mean, they got Miller and Pack and Wong and Proctor for 55. They got guys that can and no, that's a good team, dude. They're going to give Houston everything they want. It's a really fast team. That is going to be a game with a ton of athletes on the floor. That's a game I'm really excited to watch. So I'm with you. I mean, the Big Ten put a team in the Sweet 16. It was probably really only projected by most people to put one team in the Sweet 16. Just happened.
Brad Evans had none in the Sweet 16. So
right. Because and most people said Memphis was going to beat Purdue in round 2. Well,
I got to be honest though, if Purdue got past,
they're beating FAU.
Yeah, if Purdue got past FDU, they would have beat FAU for sure, in my opinion. Hell, FDU about beat FAU. So
and then I would have loved Purdue's chances against Tennessee, to be honest with you.
Now, real quickly here, as we towards the end of the show, we appreciate everybody who's watched. Retweet this, guys. We appreciate that as well, if you could. And thanks for all the new subscribers to our YouTube channel. Appreciate that. Keeping it orange and blue. And it's on Spotify for all you podcasters. And Mr. Turtle Ryan here has been working on getting it onto Apple Podcasts.
Well, you have a job, you have a family. You know, family.
And I've been sick for like the last 10 days. My strep just finally got better. It
doesn't sound like it.
No, this isn't strep. This is just a sore throat from coughing for 10 days. So, but the strep is gone. I wish the heat was gone. Anyway, so moving on with the transfer portal stuff here. Illinois, to me, the guys, once you see the draft process and guys entering the draft and dropping out of the draft, that's more of when I think you're going to start seeing some of the Illini picking up more guys like we saw with Shannon and Meyer and stuff of that sort. So there may be one quick hit before then, but the reason why you're not hearing anything right now, of course, is because of the Brad Underwood situation. Brad Underwood isn't going all in right now if he's 100% thinking. If he's not 100% thinking, I'm at Illinois. Once that's decided, though, I think you're going to start hearing more names of Illinois showing interest and maybe, this kid's going to commit to Illinois or whatever. But until the staff thing is, it doesn't matter, because if Brad's not going to be here, whoever Illinois had ready in the portal won't be coming if Brad's not.
Well, I'll say this. Frankly, when it comes to Texas, I think they're going to the Final Four. I've picked them in almost all my brackets. I think it's just a matchup made in heaven for them, the next two. I think Houston in Texas, I think Texas can handle them. And that's if Houston gets by Miami. Texas got to get by Xavier first. People got to be out there like, hey, listen, why would Texas want to move on from Rodney Terry? Hasn't he done a really good job filling in for Chris Beard? And he has. But Rodney Terry did not so hot of a job. I think it was at UTEP prior to being an assistant. Got fired as a head coach there. So there's a little bit of warts there that they want to think they can go out and make a splash higher. I'm just kind of shocked it's Underwood. I frankly, if I were, I am a betting man. If they were taking some odds on this, I would bet that Brad Underwood is still the coach at Illinois, and I bet we have some sort of resolution to that in probably the next 10 days. So that's that, and then we can really start to look at some guys, maybe like a team from the ACC that finished in the top 5 and didn't make the NCAA tournament. That's got a really nice big that could shoot from 3, and some other guys we can go look at. That's names aren't cool yet, but who knows?
I got a question for you. So is it a job? Is it our job as fans? Is it our job to demand excellence and be entitled about it? Like, it better happen or else I'm going to bitch. Is that the job of a fan? I'm just wanted to know what your definition of that.
Listen, for all the frustrations we have with the fans that are leading Brad Underwood to where he's at, and maybe it's a little bit of rabbit ears. That's fine. I don't see or hear Ohio State fans throwing a fit about Chris Holtman. And that's because that's a football school, dude. We're a basketball school. And the same reason why our fans are passionate and nuts and sometimes highly irrational, fanatic and rational don't go hand in hand. Fan is short for fanatic, so we're not rational. That's what makes us who we are. We're a basketball school. We got people subscribing tonight, listening tonight because they're interested, because they give a shit about Illinois basketball. You have a school like Ohio State. You have a school like Ohio State that fits 7,000 more people in its arena than ours.
Yep.
In a metro, and in the largest metro market in the state of Ohio is Columbus, not Cincinnati, not Cleveland. It's Columbus, and we drew more people than they did this year. They were ranked 14th at one point in time. They're not calling for Chris Holtman's head because all they're thinking about is spring football. So. So for all that shit,
are Carolina fans calling for Hubert Davis's head?
I'd be calling for Caleb Loves if I was there, but no, but I would actually I don't. Next year we'll see. Like we're gonna have to find out. Like they were a borderline bubble team last year when Caleb Love and Brady Manick went on heaters. Okay,
that'd be back-to-back years that they didn't make the tournament. Yeah,
right. So Hubert Davis' feet will get hot next year.
But I guess to me, that's kind of where this lies. It's like we're not talking about a team that didn't make the tournament,
right?
So,
but I think fans have a right to be upset because those same fans are the people who are spending money. Those same fans are putting money into NIL, whether it's Icon, whether it's Guardians. Those same fans are showing up. That's why we're second in attendance this year.
Hell, we're both upset. We're both upset how the season ended. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like all I'm asking is a little bit of just rationale. You can be a fanatic and have some rational view of back away and see a bigger picture. That's all I ask. And maybe as crazy as people like to talk about me and my past, and I'm the one trying to be rational. I mean, come on, like just take a step back, man. You know, it's like, okay, see the bigger picture.
I don't. I mean, there was a poll that came out the other day. It's like 97% of Illinois fans do not believe that Brad Underwood should be fired. There's 3% that are nut jobs there. He absolutely does no way should be fired. I think there's a level of like, dude, why the hell? Why would you not want to be here now? And I don't think it's necessary. It's not as clear cut as people want to make it seem. Like I talk about, dude. There's booster issues. There's all kinds of there's NIL crap. There's Sky Park crap. But listen, I'm Brad Underwood knows this. That shit ain't going away in Texas.
No, hell no.
There just might be a few more dollars in the old bank account, but you know what? It's a lot more expensive to live there. But you know, he likes finding things.
The pressures of winning at Texas, even if it's a football school, especially with the new Moody Center they got, you know, and having your own network. I mean, there's going to be plenty of pressure there in Austin.
Yeah, another like $6.5 million another $2 million a year can't fix.
So it sounds like though in the next couple weeks, by the time the Final Four is done, I think I'd say early April, we're going to know about Terry's future at Texas. But until then, there probably not going to be much movement from the Illinois front with Brad Underwood because until his finality of what he's going to do, because as of right now, it's up in the air. And I'm not going to say it's 70-30 anything. I just think it's a lot murkier than it should be. But that's life. And hell, you know, that's how the cookie crumbles once in a while.
Mike Thomas isn't making the replacement hire, so sleep well, Illini Nation. Josh Whitman, I do trust. So,
and I hope we have kind of opened up that Pandora box of fun that I know a lot of people were wondering, like, what in the hell is going on? You know, you look at social media and Twitters and your group chats, and people all of a sudden are just throwing all these wild things out. So today I can tell you this. While I appreciate you, and I hope you appreciate us, is this. I made sure I got the specifics before we did this show because I wanted to give you the most accurate answer as of what is going on. So like me, hate me, respect me, whatever. I will always try to be honest with everybody. And I want you to be right here with me, with Kev too. So we kind of, you know, when you go to bed tonight, you have a better, clear vision of what's going on a little bit behind the scenes. And
it's kind of a unique perspective, Ryan, when you think about it. You think about the other folks that are out there running Illinois podcasts. And like, listen, we don't get the direct access that a Sturdy gets or Jeremy Warner gets or even Robert gets from a Illini board. But there is also a level that they can't be just flat out freaking honest with you with what they know, because there's so many things that are required for them with their affiliations with the school. And we don't have that. Like, our sources are connected. Our sources know people. You guys don't know who the hell our sources is, and we hell sure ain't going to share it with you. And so that's fine. which that means we can stay 100 with people as much as we possibly can and tell you this is what the hell's going on and this is what we know. And like I've lived and breathed this stuff my whole life. I know who to pick up the phone and call and talk to. And sometimes I've got bad information. Sometimes I've got great information.
What was it when I first jumped onto the scene? You know, in 2016. Oh man, so many of the pay sites hated me, and I liked one of them called me Robin Hood. You know.
Yeah.
So I like to roll with that. So you can call me Robin Hood, whatever. No man in tights, that's for damn sure. But yeah, but I'll roll with it because it's like, oh, I'm here to help the people, and no, I'm here to save the people. Oh, this and that, because I'm taking info and I have no accountability, so I can do what I want. You know, if that's how you want to look at it, go for it. But Kev, you know, I talk to people in the know, but obviously I'm not going to say who it is, but they'll never admit it either. So it works out both ways. So
it does. Like I said, that's why we're not going to share their names either. We keep that stuff quiet.
But
we only know what we know, and it all makes sense. It all lines up. It makes perfect sense.
Yep. And
if you think you're a true fan of Illinois basketball, if you think you're a true about it fan, now I want you to take that number, because most of our fans that are watching this probably aren't 55, 65 years old, which you would have to be a high-level booster donor that we're talking about. And now I want you to think about the fact you give the program, maybe do give the program 7 figures in a single year, and your frustration, and now you're telling the coach what he needs to do. You can understand where some of this problems lie. But once again, I'll say it again. Those problems don't go away at Texas. The problems can lessen at Kansas State, but those problems don't go away elsewhere. They can lessen. They can be heightened. I mean, John Calipari is hearing it, right? Hubert Davis is hearing it. Like Juwan Howard is hearing it. Trust me, Juwan Howard's hearing it at Michigan. It is not rosy right now with what's going on up there. So that all leads me to believe. I say this. I think Brad Underwood will be back. I think it's the best thing for Illinois in the long term, and so we go from there.
I'm not sure if that was your final thought, but if
it is my final.
All right, and my final thought is, before we check out, I think we're going to get 2 departures. Okay, 2 departures from the team. I feel pretty strongly one will be Brandon Lieb, and one to be determined. But I know, but I won't say names. I know the staff is upset at a group. There's a couple group of guys on the team who literally refused to run anything that they asked. They just did their own thing. And to me, I think seeing how much, vitriol and animosity it's created amongst fans, and how it kind of sabotaged some of the end of the year, to hurt the team. Obviously not with having Clark, but Brad Underwood's never going to go through that again. So I think there's going to be some hard decisions on, do we really want this person around? If they want to do things their way, or if they do want to continue that, then they will see the highway. So, and I won't name names, but there's a couple of them on the team that did that. And, if you go back and listen to some of the press conferences, Coleman Hawkins won't throw anybody's name under the bus, but he talks about coach called certain plays and we just didn't run them. So to me, I think Brad got a bad jibe for that too, because he's calling plays and guys are literally not doing it. And this happened several games. So Brad is not going to put up with guys that they go over scouting reports, they go over specific plays they want out of timeouts, and guys just do whatever they want. That's not going to happen anymore. So there's going to be a couple of guys that won't be on this team anymore. So my final thought is there's going to be some change. How big of a change? That is to be determined. I have 100% faith and confidence in Brad Underwood. I hope he stays. And if not, I hope he sees this. And if he does end up leaving in the next few weeks, I just want to personally say thank you for coming to Illinois. Thank you for coaching this team and bringing us back to relevancy. So that is my final thought.
One quick thing on the portal there. There's 358, 360 Division I college basketball teams. There are 16 that are still playing. There are 700 players now in the portal, I believe. That's 2 from every team.
Yeah, there's going to be 1,000 at least here in the next week or two.
We are going to have 2 or 3 guys in that portal.
Yep.
It's just and it's not because it's the end of the world. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. And the reasons will vary. One could be, I just like Brandon Lieb. I just want an opportunity to play 1 year somewhere where I can play. And you know what? Brandon Lieb, go for it. Go play at SEMO, or he could play at SEMO.
Play Bradley.
Or Bradley or whatever. The dude could play at 1 year and be a solid contributor on a mid-major team. And you know what? I would wish him nothing but the best.
Yep.
There'll also be guys who are like, go find, you want a greener pasture? Go do what you want to do at that program, because you're not going to do it here. So
I guess purple and gold make green. You could be like Adam Miller. How's that working out?
Yeah. So anywho, and Brandon Pajimski, WCC co-player of the year with Drew Timme. That's pretty good, dude. All right. Oh man.
I'd get 15 and 8 in that league.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin Ducey.
Guard somebody.
That's right. So you heard that here. Anyway, we appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, Keeping It Orange and Blue. Thanks for following. Thanks for retweeting. I'm Ryan. That's Kevin. Swami out.
ILL.